So good evening and welcome to quiz number 8, new format quiz number 2. For those of you who missed it last week, hopefully you enjoy the new format, and thank you to Wings TV for the stunning footage, fabulous footage from tonight, which was from React 2010, and gives you a clue, for those familiar with last week, gives you a clue as to what the iconic aircraft that will feature in the mid-round, the small round that sits between round 1 and round 2 in the new streamlined quiz. So welcome to this evening where the weather seems to have turned a bit, but hopefully it's going to come back again soon. Welcome to everyone who seems to be all over the world. So people quarantined in Bahrain. And furloughed and various things. So welcome to everyone. Hopefully everyone's going to enjoy a little while of fun and frolics. Captain Abby's in charge. I'm just helping out. And there aren't actually many bonus points in the questions tonight, but so we might need to reward some unofficial ones just to get the scores up. So the quiz for tonight, quiz number 8, and we'll run through the usual things in terms of the how this will go. And introducing this week's iconic aircraft, you've seen that, so the Harrier will feature. So those of you who want to do some quick studying between now and the mid-range on the Harrier, you can do that if you like. And just for those who weren't with us last week, I think it was a fabulous set of weather last week, so I do understand that people were out barbecuing, but we did have quite a lot of viewers, I think over 100, nearly 150 viewers who watched it online afterwards. As you know, YouTube record this anyway, which is why we have to be careful about copywriting and things, and it's available to you ad infinitum on the YouTube channel. So welcome to all of you tonight. So just recap, 3 rounds. First round is 20 general variety questions, and variety means civil and military aircraft, people, history, general. We took some feedback last week that we were a bit too civil orientated, so we've tried to restore the balance a bit tonight. And welcome Marianka 757 in Colombia, I hope you're well. So I think you're still our furthest, I haven't actually done the maths, but I think you're still to do with our furthest traveller. Just looking at a couple of comments. So Headboard Cockpit Wits, Peter, my brother in Spain, you've always wanted to fly the Harrier. Well, it's available on X-Plane 11, I think, and various all good simulators near you. And so welcome to everyone. So the variety rounds, we'll have a small iconic aircraft round in the middle, and we'll move forward. So it's still for fun. I'm still always right, even when I'm wrong, and of course I'm never wrong, except when I'm wrong. And tonight's photos, thanks to James Mellon, who we gave a break to, but he's now come back with a vengeance, and we're using a lot of James's photographs tonight, and to Wings TV, as I mentioned, for the video footage, who were kind enough to post about us on their channel tonight. So without further ado, if you're ready to move on, we will move into round 1. So if you need a piece of paper, 20 questions, and they're all jumbled up. So I'm afraid there's no opportunity to be gloomy about this is the military round or this is the historic round or whatever. They're all jumbled up, and so you won't know what's coming next. So round 1, question 1. What is the name of the Italian display team? So obviously this is aviation display team, not anything to do with anything else. Pasta display team or whatever. This is the Italian aircraft display team. What's the name? What's its name? We're not bothered about spelling. And you get a bonus if you know the aircraft type that they fly with. So that's hopefully a relatively straightforward one. Round 1, question 1. Don't have a photograph of it. So any of you who want to donate photographs to the quiz, feel free. We have to have free of copyright photographs just to meet the YouTube requirements. That's why we don't always have lots of photographs on every question, but although it'd be nice to. So round 1, question 1. Who else is on tonight? Travelling around from the Highlands of Scotland. Are you still locked down up in Scotland, I think? You're not allowed to travel more than 5 miles, I don't think. Mark, your team bath tonight. Not in the bath, as we discovered a few weeks ago. Round 1, question 2. Can you name the airline? And this is an edited photograph, so it isn't flying illegally without a registration or any markings. They've just been fabulously blocked out, actually. I have to give myself a pat on the back. They've been beautifully edited out, so you can't even see what the markings might be. So what's the airline?
That's what you spent all week doing.
I spent all week doing it, yeah. So that's round 1, question 2. Oh, provocative point. So Lucy, you think the Italians are better than the British? Is that?
Not even the Blue Angels. I think they could be better.
Oh, we could start an online competition as to which we think the world's best display team is.
Sorry,
So round one, question 2. Round one, question 3. When applied to airlines, what does the term RPK mean? Not at the moment, of course. Like most of these questions, they don't always apply to COVID-19. But if you saw RPK in a report from an airline, what would it mean? Oh, thank you, James. Hope you didn't mind me editing your photograph.
We get a pat on the back. Lucy said bonus points for number 2.
A bonus point for the aircraft type? Yes, of course, yes. Abby's in charge of bonus points, but yes, of course.
Like it didn't come up.
Although I don't actually know, I think I know what it is, but I'm sure you know, so yes,
You should.
definitely. So that's round one, question 3. Round one, question 4. Can you name this aircraft type?
It still flies, doesn't it? Or similar.
It still flies. I think it still flies. Yeah. Another James Mellon special. Of course, James very carefully puts his copyright mark down the side of the aircraft, so any of you who spot this, it says James Mellon Avia Colour. So what is this aircraft type? Don't think we'll give you a bonus point for the airline, although it is obviously a franchise airline, but
Registration's
you knew that anyway. So that's round one, question 4. Hopefully you found solace tonight in this quiz away from all the bad news and all the various things going on at the moment. So aviation quiz, you always know this is a bit of fun and lots of deliberate mistakes, and some not deliberate. Bonus point for the operator. Maybe, yeah, because I'm not...
Yeah, I think I've seen it at City a few times.
Yeah, I think I know who it is. Yes, of course, Matt. So, are you Matt? Or Matthew Senior? Are you a Matt? Round one, question 5. So, I think this is the first military question. What current US military jet fighter is named after a stinging insect? I'm sure whether it was named after the stinging insect or whether somebody just said, I know, we'll call it that. But not sure we have Joseph on tonight. Haven't seen Joseph post yet. He was in Italy last time we saw him, our resident slider from the F-15 force. That airline is my last chance to fly that model of air. Oh, okay.
I haven't seen them around, really.
So that's round one, question 5. We're a quarter of the way through the first round, so 20 questions, so make sure you've got a long enough piece of paper. Oh, welcome, Slider. How are you? And maybe in Italy, if you're allowed to say, tonight. So we've put a few more military questions in tonight. So there's no excuse for you not knowing the ones that we've put in. No, joking. Round one, question 6. Retro liveries. I know somebody, at least one of you on here likes retro liveries. So here's a retro livery. Again, not so subtly edited. What is this retro livery? Well, thank you, Joseph. I was wondering if it was in your logbook, this aircraft, but you can tell us after you've done the iconic round in the middle. But I guess you're one of the few countries I think that still... Are you still flying them in the US?
Spain do.
Spain do, and I think the US still have the Aviates, maybe.
I think maybe.
So name the retro livery applied to this aircraft. Round one, question 7. Top Gun. So who hasn't seen Top Gun? Who was it? Who hasn't seen Top Gun? Lucy hadn't seen Top Gun, and I think Avianca 757 maybe hadn't seen Top Gun. So hopefully you've all seen it now. So in the film Top Gun, what aircraft type played the fictitious MiG-28s? So the MiG-28s, obviously there aren't, as far as I know, any MiG-28s. So a real aircraft type was used to play the fictitious MiG-28s. US Marines. Okay, thank you. So round one, question 7. You're in Italy. Well done. Thanks, Joseph. I think we were in a pub last time we did the quiz, so hopefully you're bringing some Italians along with him and translating it instantaneously into Italian. Not that I can do that. But, so that's round one, question 7. I think that's the only Top Gun question tonight. There always has to be at least one Top Gun question, because it's such a rich film to plumb, and we're all obviously looking out for Top Gun 2 whenever it comes out.
It's supposed to be out now, isn't it? Summer.
That's the winter, I think. Round 1, question 8. So this week it was in the news that a British aircraft type has just celebrated 55 years of continuous production. So there's a particular aircraft type. What do you think it might be? 55 years of continuous production. Oh, so thank you, Avianca 757, but you haven't seen the other iconic films yet.
Literally like.
So you've been away for 2 weeks, maybe now? You just binge watched Come Fly With Me again.
I used to do that actually. Lockdown's not lockdown unless I've done it.
Yeah, well, maybe we need some more Come Fly With Me questions in the quiz. So, round 1, question 8. Round 1, question 9. So, no ATAG questions tonight. Sorry, ATAG, if you're listening, but no ATAG questions tonight. But CAA, Civil Aviation Authority of the UK, produced a survey in 2017 of bird strikes, and which part of the aircraft do you think was hit the most? I did think about showing some photographs, but I thought you might have just had dinner or lunch in Colombia, various things, so I thought we'd spare you some photographs of bird strikes, but
when did they get rid of Come Fly With Me? I didn't know that. That's my only chance.
we should write to Netflix.
Demand an aviation section.
I saw the news item this evening that, or this morning, that somebody who paid the subscription for Netflix wasn't allowed to watch it because all of their children had used up all the subscriptions, so they went on to watch it and they'd all been used up.
But we ain't got no cups.
And Little Britain as well.
Yeah, I miss Little Britain so much.
So round 1, question 9. So halfway through round 1, which person, we have to have a few aviation people in here, who was known as the father of the Boeing 747? Last week's iconic aircraft, those of you who missed it. It's still on YouTube if you want to watch last week's quiz, which featured the 747 as the iconic aircraft. So who was known as the father of the 747? So just reading the comments. So halfway through, hopefully your piece of paper is long enough to carry on. Round 1, question 11. What Royal Navy jet aircraft is named after a pirate? Again, a bit like the stinging insect. Was it actually named after a pirate, or was there a different reason? But anyway, there is a Royal Navy jet aircraft not currently in service. It's named after a pirate. Oh, BritBox. Yeah, I don't know about BritBox. Is that like a Netflix but for Brits only?
That's very sad. Maybe.
Dumbo.
For the 747.
Oh. Yeah, those of you who missed the 747 iconic, listen, there was a question last week that I didn't know, which was I thought I knew everything about the 747, but thanks to the Museum of Flight in Seattle, who contributed a couple of questions, we managed to get a question in that I didn't know anyway. Round 1, question 12. This could almost be an iconic aircraft. Do you think this should be an iconic aircraft in a future quiz? Name the aircraft type. What is this aircraft type? Bit of a messy tail. Oh, sorry if anyone who designed the tail is watching tonight, but a bit of a messy tail. But anyway, is a tail on an iconic aircraft. Bit of a discussion going on in the comments about films and BritBox and things. But round 1, question 12. Name the aircraft type. Question 13. Unlucky for some. How can you easily tell the difference between a Boeing and an Airbus at night? One of those things that everyone must know.
Josh.
How can you easily tell the difference between a Boeing and an Airbus at night?
I told him this 2 days ago.
Surely everyone knows this.
That's what I thought, apparently. Which is extra special.
Works all the way up to cruising altitude as well. If you're in on a nice starry night, you can tell the difference. So that's round 1, question 13. Racing through tonight because they're so easy, these questions, particularly when you've got the answers in front of you. Round 1, question 14. So if you're in the market to buy a Boeing 777X, so the X is being dropped now, so it's a 777-9. What's the current list price of a Boeing list price? Because you could probably do some deals at the moment, probably, you think. But it's the nearest $10 million. I'll be generous. So it's the nearest $10 million. What's $10 million between us? What's the current list price of a Boeing 777-9? Josh doesn't know what a Boeing is. The Embraer strobes. Yeah, we're not covering Embraer tonight, Josh, but thank you. The tray table bias.
I mean...
Captain Dave's back on Twitter, I noticed, and was talking about differences between the A380 and the A350. I did think about including a question about that, but I thought it was unfair, so you need to look up Captain Dave on Twitter, who compares the 380 with the 350.
No comment. It's better.
Round 1, question 15. What jet fighter type does the USAF currently have the most of? Now, I'm not talking about if they're in the Mojave Desert or whatever, but this is, according to the sources I could find, the USAF has the most of this jet fighter type, I believe mostly in service. Yeah, maybe Lucy. According to the Boeing website, it's now the 777-8 and the 777-9, so there's no mention of the X anymore. So, yes, what will they call the 737? I think they'll stick with the MAX, personal view.
It's like Corona beer. You're gonna have to rebound after this.
Maybe. It is probably more expensive than a Dash 8, Dave.
It's a tiny bit. The Dash doesn't have folding wingtips.
I'm sure they can modify it. Round 1, question 15. Round 1, question 16. So, this is another recent survey. What proportion of the world's population have been on an aircraft? 3 choices. 1, 3 or 5%. This is I think it's a pretty well respected survey. So what proportion of the world's population have been on, I don't mean been on an aircraft, I mean stepped on an aircraft, but have travelled on an aircraft somewhere before coronavirus, before COVID-19. We could have a whole quiz about COVID-19 and its effects on aviation, but that would be a bit depressing, so let's not go there for tonight. Round 1, question 17. So we have to have a bit of a historic aircraft. Can you name this aircraft type? Not sure who's on tonight, who might know what this is. It's another James Mellon photo, so in fact most of the photos tonight are James. Thank you, James. Including some new unpublished ones which you found in your archive, so we need some more of those as well. Particularly amongst some of you, sharp-eyed amongst you, seem to know every single aircraft type, so having to push the boundaries a bit. So what's this aircraft type? Might need a few quizzes actually about COVID round when this is all over. So 777, sorry, we've had a few Airbus questions in the past. So the Boeing 777, there are other aircraft who have this same device, but I'm focusing on the 777, has a wing device that increases lift and aids roll control at approach speeds at the same time. Same device. What's it called? Other aircraft have it, but this is what's it, and it's probably called the same in those other aircraft as well, but what is it? Yeah, this is that cyclonic time. Thank you, James. New career if you need one as a quiz photograph supplier, because you have some excellent photographs. Round 1, question 19. So the penultimate question in the first round. Boeing C-32 in USAF service. What civil type does it equate to? As you probably know, the US Air Force give it a military designation, but it is actually a civil type as well. What does it equate to? think those of you from the north of the country, Blackpool Airport are going to adopt this quiz apparently for their 65 users and friends of Blackpool Airport. So we've reached Blackpool in the dizzy heights of the A Question of Aviation. So as you know anyway, if we haven't said so before, if you want to use this anytime for any of your friends or any club societies or just for fun, feel free. It's all free and it's all for fun. Can't always, as you know, 100% vouch for the facts, but generally the facts are always trying to be fact-checked as much as possible. And then round 1, question 20, the end of the first round. Can you name this aircraft type? Give you a clue, it did feature in a previous quiz. You probably know that anyway. Don't know where it's at. It's coming straight for the photographer, so I hope the photographer...
Something like 2 years ago, right?
Oh, Abby wants a bonus point if you know that it was at RIAT 2 years ago, James. So Abby needs to award herself a bonus point. If it was RIAT 2016, no, 2018.
No, 18.
2018.
Sorry. This is a surprise.
So that's round 1, question 20. Does anyone need to have any more time or any of the questions read again? Post a comment, we'll just leave you with this wonderful music, YouTube music in the background. Those of you who don't realise, we had to delete the first 2 quizzes because we had some music that YouTube didn't like in the first 2 quizzes. That's why they don't appear on YouTube, in case you're ever curious as to why quizzes 1 and 2 aren't on YouTube.
I didn't like Busted.
Yes, Abby, but not that year. So close. Thank you, James.
Wait. How can it be 2017?
So that's the end of round 1. So anyone need any questions again, or are you ready to go on to the... I think we do the answers next in this new format for the round 1. So yes, round 1 answers. If you're ready, we'll move on to the answers for round 1. Red pens swap for black or blue pens, or whatever colour pencils you've got. We'll run through the answers. So round 1, question 1 was the Frici Tricolori. I did check the spelling just to make sure I got this right. So Frici Tricolori and the NB339 is the aircraft type that they use. 2017, have a bonus point.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. I think that's the first bonus point Abby's been awarded by the quiz.
Yeah, it is.
So that's Frici Tricolori NB339.
Orange crayon.
Orange crayon, wow. Does she know though? But presumably she's in bed, so otherwise she would tell you off using her orange crayon. Round 1, question 2, Iran Air, of course. I'm sure you all knew that, and I think it's an A300 Airbus. Was it Lucy? Who's the bonus point for that? I think it's an Airbus A300. I don't think it's a 310, I think it's a 300 with the length of it. James can tell you, it's his photograph. That's round 1, question 2. Round 1, question 3, revenue passenger kilometres, RPK. Can't think of any other combinations of what that could be anyway, just for fun, but it just means revenue passenger kilometres. Next time you look up an aviation and airline set of stats. Round 1, question 4 is a Dornier 328 jet. I think the operator is Sunair of Denmark,
It is.
but I don't know. So those who guess that want to correct me, then that's round 1, question 4.
It goes to London City Airport if anyone wants to fly on it.
Yeah, there's a few of those in the States, I think, still flying around. Avianca 757. Not sure about in Colombia. By the way, you missed the round last week where we used some of your photographs, I think. So. Round 1, question 5. The Hornet. There might be some other US military jet fighters named after a stinging insect. I couldn't honestly think of any, but maybe there are some. I'm not sure there's a wasp. I think there is a wasp name, but I don't think it's also in America. Thank you, Andy. A300, 600, that's close enough for bonus points. Round 1, question 6 is Air France in their retro livery. It's a about one of the few retro liveries that you can use that doesn't have the name on the tail, or it's too obvious, although maybe to some of you this is pretty obvious. Film Top Gun, so it was the Northrop F5 was the aircraft that was used to play the fictitious MiG-28s, the F5. I think it's maybe one of the longest produced military jet aircraft, fighter aircraft in the States, I don't know. Must be up there ranking amongst the others. Thanks. Round 1, question 8. It's the Islander. So the Britain-Norman Islander was taken over by Fairey at some stage in its career, but it's just celebrated 55 years of continuous production this week. It's a very topical question. Round 1, question 9. The engines are the most hit part of the aircraft according to the CIA survey of bird strikes. You probably knew that anyway, but it's the engines. I'm sure if you Google it you can find the survey.
I think everybody knows, really.
Engines a bigger target, maybe. Round 1, question 10. Joe Sutter, father of the Boeing 747. In fact, interestingly, recently he was listed as one of the few people you could name who'd actually been almost the chief designer of an aircraft. Last week's quiz, I won't give you away the name, but there was somebody who should be pretty famous, but actually nobody don't think knew the name. So Joe Sutter. Round 1, question 11. The Buccaneer, Royal Navy jet aircraft named after a pirate, Blackburn Buccaneer, I think originally made up in the northwest by the Blackburn Aircraft Company. Pretty impressive aircraft if you look at any videos of it. Round 1, question 12. The F4 Phantom, of course. I don't know what that design is. Somebody can tell us. But it's probably a candidate for an iconic aircraft round at some stage. Round 1, question 13. So everyone must know this. That Airbus wing strobes flash twice, unless they're unserviceable and they occasionally only flash once. But generally Airbus wing strobes flash twice. Boeing and Embraer and others I think flash once. So the white wing strobes generally on Airbus flash twice. Was it? Joe Dumbo Sutter was his nickname. Oh, thank you. Give yourself a bonus point, Peter. Lancaster.
Was it Lancaster?
I don't know.
Lancaster.
Oh, thank you, James. Hellenic Air Force. So apologies to any Greek viewers tonight. So I didn't mean what I said about the tail. Round 1, question 14. So a cool $442.2 million. So nearest 10 million. I'm sure you could do a deal if you bought a few. Maybe a fleet. But that's the current list price according to the Boeing website today of a 777-9. Of course you could buy a -8 and I think it's slightly cheaper. But I'm sure any of you who've got £442 million in your bank account, the dollars in your bank account at the moment, you could talk to Boeing and they'd be happy to sign you up for one. Although I think I'm right in saying that it is the most ordered aircraft at its stage in its build of any long-haul aircraft ever built, including beating the 747. I think that's right.
What, the -9 on the 777?
It's 777X.
Oh, really?
Yep. Question 15. So apparently, by quite a large margin, the US Air Force have lots of F-16s. And maybe Air National Guard, I'm not quite sure where they're deployed, but by quite a long, according to the declassified information I have, maybe others have information.
Which one can't be right? The money.
The money one can't be right. Well, that's according to the Boeing website today.
Everything on top is extra.
That is the list price, though, Kane, so not many people put list price or pay list price. Round 1, question 16. So 5%, according to a recent survey, 5% of the world's population have travelled on an aircraft. So any airlines out there, 95% of the world is available to you to get them onto an aircraft.
What would it be now? 0.1%?
Maybe. Round 1, question 17 is the Beech 18. So the Beech 18, I think this is an E-18S. James will correct me if I'm wrong, but this is Beech 18, quite an iconic aircraft. If you've ever seen one, pretty revolutionary design for its time. Round 1, question 17. Kane, does that mean you're going to go out and buy one? Get your checkbook out.
We should all put in shares.
I'm sure if you made them an offer, you could get one for less than $442 million. But round 1, question 18. The flaperon, of course. I believe that lots of aircraft have flaperons.
Airbus is different, isn't it? We have a different name for it.
Don't know.
I think. Someone could pull me out for that.
So those 777 fans out there sits between some of the flaps, and it moves with the ailerons at low speed, but also stays in its flap position. So it's aiding lift and aids roll control. I think some military aircraft have flaperons as well. Joseph, you probably know that. Maybe the F-18 or something, I don't know. But anyway.
Ironically, that's one way to the other questions.
Ah. Round 1, question 19. The 757 is the equivalent of the C-32. Not sure. Is it the Vice President who travels on a C-32? I'm not sure, but anyway.
That was Italian.
The flaperon. Thank you, Dave.
He's a Boeing fantastic.
And then round 1, question 20 is a B-1B Lancer, of course, as modelled at React 2017, and Abby got a half a bonus point.
Half a bonus point?
You said 2018.
You said 2018, I'm up with it.
So that's the end of round 1, and so you should, with the official bonus points, that should be out of 21. So post some scores, let's see. Oh, that's even better, Abby, because lots of accents.
I wouldn't be worried.
I think maybe we need some accents going the other way. Is that acute, or what's the accents going the different way? But we need some flapperoo. That's the plural. So post some scores just so we can see how people are doing so far, because this is your chance to work out whether you stand a chance in round 2 or whether it's worth hanging up the hat as we go along now, hanging up the headset. So out of 21, anyone? 8, 9, 15. Thanks for all being honest. 17 in the bath. Sir James Lancaster. Thank you. 13.
What, he was a pirate or was he?
He's a pirate, I think. Yeah, that's fine, Lucy. 11, 14, thank you. Oh, good. No, so did we get the balance right? Military to civil, and we tried to keep both, because I know some of you hated the military round. So 22 and 35 have flaperons. Oh, thank you. 113, Richard. Wow, that was a pretty good round.
How many bonus points?
Oh, 13. Sorry. I just thought you'd actually had lots of bonus points there. Not counting this week is fun. It's all for fun, Kane. Don't worry. You can always rewatch it if you're sad enough to have to rewatch it, but it's available if you want to. So, if you're ready, we'll move on to the iconic aircraft round. So, the iconic aircraft, big clue was the Harrier. Self-selected. We didn't have a competition last week. I just decided that we needed a military iconic aircraft, and the Harrier does need some credit. So, 5 questions, and all at the same time. So, 5 questions about the Harrier. In what year did the Harrier GR1 fly? I think the Harrier GR1 was the first production version of the Harrier. Where was the Harrier produced, i.e. the location in the UK where it was produced? Number 3, a bit controversial, not able to be proved one way or the other unless somebody might know, but probably classified anyway. What apparently can the Harrier do that the F-35 cannot? What's the name of the Harrier engine? And last but not least, who was the RAF Harrier pilot, who apparently is the last, subject to classified information, the last RAF pilot to shoot down an aircraft in combat? There were a number of documentaries about him. I think he's in his 70s, not sure he's still alive. Apologies if his family are watching, but quite a well-known RAF Harrier pilot. So those are the 5 questions. We'll just leave them up there for a little while. Again, thanks to Wings TV for providing the Harrier clip. And if anyone wants to, as we go through the round 2, suggest any more iconic aircraft, assuming you want us to carry on with the quiz, then I'm happy to provide probably a civil one next week, maybe, just to keep the balance right. Civil aircraft for next week's iconic aircraft round. A few candidates, maybe. So, if you're ready, we'll move on to the round.
Longer.
I think we need longer.
Well, I wouldn't be able to do all that.
I know what the answers are there. So. Do you need longer? Audience out there, do you need longer? Post ready or not ready. If you need more time to go onto Google to look up the answers. Oh, sorry. No, it's only for fun anyway. So.
Keep pushing Trevor.
Oh yeah, by the way, we didn't introduce the new member of the quiz team tonight between us, if you can see.
Trevor!
This obviously isn't the Tremor that went into space, otherwise he wouldn't be here. Because he's still in space. But, so the original Tremor is still in space, but here is Tremor, the copy. One minute, please. Okay, that's good. So Abby's not on commission if you want to order a Tremor, but she wishes she did put herself on commission before it went into space. Josh, you didn't know any of the answers. That's okay, don't worry. I didn't know any of them unless I looked them up, so...
You should guess to them, at least.
Need a drink after round 2. You mean just after round 2 or after round 1 even? Is it round 2 that did it? See, these are the things we need to hear about on the news, not some of the stuff at the moment. We need to hear about things like the Harrier and SpaceX and what's happened to Tremor. What's Tremor doing at the moment in space?
Chilling.
All this time?
Having a better time.
So we'll leave it to the end of this little bit longer, and we'll keep going. That's okay. Is it not the right iconic aircraft? We need civil only iconic aircraft, maybe. That's okay. Well, it's only 5 questions in the middle of the whole lot of 40 questions, so don't worry. Just guess. That's what I do. Particularly around question 3. Can you guess that one?
No, not even I can.
Tremor is chilling, deep chilling. What, literally?
In space.
They put him in outside in the airlock.
In
You
his
mean?
own spacesuit.
Those of you who've watched any of the space things. So Tremor is outside, floating in space. You mean?
Do you know what kind of 3?
I'm sure somebody might tell me afterwards that it isn't true, but anyway.
Doesn't it depend on the type of F-35?
Oh, well, Abby's just raised a point. So obviously we're talking about the Harrier-like F-35 here. We're not talking about the carrier version or the one that can't hover. Beastolness. I'm sure it's a word, Josh. Sounds good to me.
Pistolability.
Beastolishness, maybe. Right, so we'll move on to round 3 if you're ready then. So round 3 is another variety round. So your chance to redeem yourself after if you thought round 2 was not very fair or good or fun. Round 3, question 1. Can you name this display team? Thank you, James, again for this. I don't think I'd ever seen a photograph of this display team, so thank you for sending it in. What's this display team? If you need a clue, there's probably a bit of a clue, I think, in the smoke, but I don't know, I might be wrong, but... So that's round 3, question 1. Get you back to hopefully some sort of normality. You could have a bonus point for the aircraft type, but it might be a bit unfair after round 1, but anyway, if you need bonus points, then you might need a bonus point for that. Round 3, question 2. What is this aircraft type? It's not a bad photograph. It's actually a clipped version of a photograph, James' photograph. So It's not that James missed the aircraft as it went past, it's actually a clipped photograph. Still one of the most intriguing aircraft I think that's out there. Mysterious. What does it do when it's up there? Round 3, question 2. Tell me if you think we're going too fast, but we'll keep going through these. Round 3, question 3. So there is a red arrows manoeuvre that's named after a large snake. I think it involves most of the formation of the red arrows. Where are they based? Bonus point. You mean where are they based in the UK, Andy? Because I know they're based all over the place, but I think they're mostly based in one location in the UK. Possibly where that photograph was taken as well. Oh, that was question 1. Oh, sorry. I was thinking about question 2. Sorry, Andy. Yes, bonus point if you know where they're based. That's round 3, question 3. Round 3, question 4. There is a a base in Turkey that the US Air Force use. What is its name? Joseph, not sure you've operated out of there or not, but it's a Turkish base that is, I think, probably totally US Air Force. Don't know. That's that relaxing, send you to sleep song track.
Sounds like an advert.
Advert for what? Mattresses or send you to sleep? That's round 3, question 4. Round 3, question 5. Where was the headquarters of Bomber Command in World War II? And I'm talking about most of World War II, as opposed to when World War II broke out. So for the balance of World War II, where was the headquarters of Bomber Command? Pops leather. Was that the advert for, Mark?
Don't know what that.
That's round 3, question 5. Hopefully your scores are piling up now. Now you're back into the normal questions. Or you wish you had the Aviation Encyclopedia Britannica by the side of you. Much easier, as I say, when you know the answers. Round 3, question 6. Who was Rome Fiumicino Airport named after? Oh, Arta, sorry. First typo of the night, I think. Who was the Rome Fiumicino Airport named after? I think it's FIU, but some Italians amongst you can...
In Italy.
Oh, hi Matt, don't worry. If you do feel sad enough to catch up, you can catch up with the first part on YouTube after the quiz is finished. It uploads itself magically to... Oh, I see. Ah, thank you, Mark.
See, we just the US Air Force.
That could be a bonus point then. Who else might know that? So that's round 3, question 6. Round 3, question 7. Hopefully a nice easy one. What's the aircraft type?
It was like we had last year.
It was like we had last year, yes. I'm not sure this one was, but
I don't know. It's a fact.
this exact one.
Could have been. On
Might
a
have
not so
been.
rainy day.
Yeah, it was pretty rainy when we went to them last year. Those who remember air shows. Round 3, question 7.
Could have been.
Another fabulous James photograph, although this one doesn't seem to have any James Mellon on it. Round 3, question 8. So the US F-21 fighter, what other type is it based on? So there is a US fighter designation, F-21. What is it based on? I didn't know this. This sort of randomly popped up as I was looking through to think What military questions can I use to balance the civil questions? Okay, we can guess where photo of this Q7 was taken. I'll be very impressed. It's not in the UK.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
It wasn't yet.
thank you, James. We're going to go back now.
It's good.
Where is question
How was
7
it
then? So, can you guess where question 7 is?
France, maybe? Bible
I think that wasn't a clipped one. I think that is James deliberately photographing half an aircraft as opposed to me clipping it. So round 3, question 8, just to recap, there is the US designation F-21. But it's not a brand new aircraft, it's based on an existing aircraft, redesignated. Do you know what it is? One of those bits of useless information that I'm sure you'll find useful at some stage to say, what's an F-21 then? Not the same ridge as the one at Riyadh last year. It's quite a bit ahead of that one.
Still trying to find mine.
I think we spent about 3 hours on there, Lucy, in the queue last year at Riyadh in the rain. Well, not inside in the rain, but to go in board.
It was good though. I found it.
Oh, thank you, Kane. Yeah, I think it's the recent one. You're all too clever out there, knowing that these
No, it wasn't.
that could be a bonus point as well. Which other one? I don't know which other one, so you can award yourself a bonus point if you know which other one. Yeah, I think you get extra geek points for that, Lucy. I think we'll give you a geek point or 2. Round 3, question 9. So, those of you who've read the novel or seen the film Firefox, there's a fictional Mach 6 Russian aircraft in the novel. I think it has thought-controlled weapons, various things. In it, fictional Mach 6 aircraft. What was its designation? I'm not sure it had a name, apart from the name of the film and the novel, but what was its designation? Round 3, question 8 is about the US one. It is, Josh, thank you. You could give yourself a bonus point if you know about the other one. This is another one of those psychedelic tracks. This is where Tremor should start floating up into the... we should have Tremor on a pulley. We could just have him going up and down. Is it him? Is Tremor a he? Is Tremor male, female, or no specific gender? Round 3, question 10. So here's a good one. Thank you, James, for this extra that popped up this week. So what's this aircraft type? Fantastic propeller vortices coming off there in a very wet day in somewhere.
It's gender, but it's birthday sometimes.
Oh. That could be a quiz question. You've just given it away now. Tremor's birthday is on September the 5th. But we don't know what gender Tremor designates. So what's this aircraft type? Nice demonstration of propeller aerodynamics. Not sure what that's called, but so wing fluff was what we called, I think, the condensation on top of a wing in aerobatics. But or anything else? But what do we call this?
I remember it needs to go. I just forgot the name.
So round 3, question 11. I said it was variety, so we've gone from one extreme to the other. So 1966, there's a famous song, but it doesn't really feel like it's 1966 because it seems to be played a lot anyway. What does he leave on in his famous 1966 song, sung by the late John Newman?
Bonus point if you can sing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you sing it in the comments though. You can send in a recording if you like to the. If you feel like that, we can judge it afterwards and we can play it live or post it on the YouTube site if you would like, and we'll sign up as your agent if it's good. The same we have in the.
Me too, pizza.
I'm not sure which. I mean, 757. I'm not sure what that comment relates to, which question that relates to, but post if we need to clarify something. I did. Yeah, I'm not sure whether. Do you get a bonus point if you know which plane crash you died in? Round 3, question 12. Can you name this aircraft type? Little dinky aircraft, probably a little bit less if you wanted to buy one of these than a 777X, 777-9.
The queue behind these as well.
Little pocket rocket, I would imagine it is. Probably one of those engines is not quite enough to be an APU on a 777. No disrespect to the manufacturer, of course. Round 3, question 12. What's this aircraft type? This is that Vangelis-like trend that every time we say, oh, is Vangelis still alive? But I think we worked out that he is. Round 3, question 13. So, Venice Airport is named after a famous explorer. What is it? Or who is it?
So cool. Oh, my goodness.
I think so.
It's two, isn't it?
Ah, the US Navy aggressor. Don't know about Yankee 757. We'll give you a point for each. Could be. So we're rattling through tonight. So So these new streamlined quizzes, COVID-19 quizzes, streamlined. We get through them in about an hour. So we're on to question 13 already. Efficiency. Round 3, question 14. What's this airline livery? Again, suitably edited. Not so well this time by me because I've left the blue border line around it. But what is this airline livery?
It's very fascinating.
It is a fascinating livery. It's a great livery for a quiz because, of course, it has no name on it deliberately. So. Ah, thank you, Peter. So he was. Those of you who want a bonus point, he was killed in a Wutan Longies. Wutan was produced that aircraft. Round 3, question 15. According to various sources, what type of aircraft has sold more than any other aircraft? What type of aircraft has sold more than any other aircraft, according to as many sources as I can find to verify this?
Italians, not Italians.
Is that down to the name of the airport, though? Maybe.
No, I remember being there at Monaco and it took about half an hour to
No,
get
but
to
it could be the name of the airport. You see, maybe the person it's named after was notoriously late. Maybe that's why they have to do it because of the name of the airport.
I just think they don't have to have a nice time.
Always good to kick the can down the road. Yeah, it's best to kick the can down the road. Keep kicking it for as long as you can. So, 3/4 of the way through this round then. So 5 more questions, 4 more questions, 5 more questions to go. Question 16. What research aircraft was the first manned aircraft to break the sound barrier? And you get a bonus if you know what year, quite a long time ago. What research aircraft was the first manned aircraft to break the sound barrier? Those history questions just keep coming to haunt you, you see. That's called experience, Andy. Just think of all the experience you've built up. So, round 3, question 16. Round 3, question 17. So, there's an airliner that came about because Howard Hughes, who was on the board of the famous Howard Hughes, Spruce Goose and all that, was on the board of TWA, wanted an aircraft that had 40 seats and a 3,500 mile range. And he wanted one specifically designed for his needs. Do you know what that aircraft was? It wasn't very successful, they didn't make many, but it was a very iconic airliner. More bonus points for the actual date. Yes, of course, Jed. I'm not sure I could verify it, but I'm sure if you know, then you should definitely get a bonus point. Round 3, question 17. Fascinating character Howard Hughes. Fascinating airline TWA.
Isn't it the film? The Leonardo DiCaprio.
Maybe. Not sure if that was about this though. There was a film about him. And that, yes. Round through question 18. Probably one of my favourite all-time aircraft. If somebody decided to buy me one, they'd probably buy me one of these. What is this aircraft type? That's a bit big.
You turned down sort of buying
bit ostentatious, really. This is about the right size, I think, really, just to nip off for a weekend or nip off around the world.
Would you fly it or would you pass it? That's the question.
Don't know. Had the pleasure of flight testing one over Savannah.
Thank you. See, pizza stand.
I'm not sure this aircraft was mentioned in that film,
No,
but
it
anyway.
was the first aircraft, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
About how it was at the start.
So that's question 18. Another James Mullen photograph. So keep going, James, because we need more photos.
Airport. If you can get the airport from this one, that's good.
I would have to ask James if he knows what airport that is, because I'm not sure I know. But it might be the same airport we've mentioned in a previous quiz, but I don't know. So the penultimate question. So here's one of those party questions again. So if you had the opportunity to bend a 787 wing at its tip to get close to its ultimate load, which is around 150% of the load that would normally be applied in its most extreme condition, i.e. close to it breaking, but it didn't break at this point, in feet or meters, by what amount? So we're open here to metric and imperial. By what amount would you need to bend a wing? And we'll give you a bit of margin here. But those, I saw somebody post the other day if they were flying a 787 through turbulence and they were a bit alarmed about the flexing of the tip. So I thought the question about that would help you to feel reassured if you're seeing a 787 wing flapping around a bit in turbulence. Which is your favourite airport one? Is that the one in question 18? Oh. Cool. We couldn't possibly comment on that, Matt. Round 3, question 19. That is that one. And the last question of the quiz, and it's up to you whether you want to carry on, but we can carry on if you want us to carry on. The last question of this quiz is going to be name the airline. And luckily, because this is a fabulous photograph, there's lots of it you can show without giving away the airline. So what's this airline?
I think I know it.
There is a good video on YouTube of that, and also previous
352.
aircraft as well, 777s and things. It's always a spectacular thing to show to anyone who's afraid of flying. So that's round 3, question 20. Does anyone want any of the questions again? So we'll just pause there so you can make extensive notes on the questions you haven't yet got answers to, so you can invent them or look them up or ask a friend, phone a friend. So that's the end of quiz 8. 8 weeks of hopefully fun frolics, lots of questions you wish you knew the answer to. Luckily I did and you didn't, which is always one of the benefits of being in my seat here, not having to guess things you don't know. Ah, yes. So anyone need any of the questions again? Just don't accidentally show the last. Yes. It's one of those things they should show in, if they ever remake Airplane, instead of the movie they show there now, it's looking a bit dated, they should show that on the screen in the cabin.
Is that the one Mum went to? The engines fell off.
Yes.
The model.
Ah, do have one. Right, so anyone wants any more question 2 ones? If not, we'll move on to the answers to round 2. So round 2 was the iconic civil aircraft, so you all knew these. Perhaps not by the sound of it, but 1967, so 2 years before we landed on the moon, or America landed on the moon, the Harrier GR1 flew. And of course, quite some time before that, things like the Kestrel and the P1127 first flew. It was produced in Kingston in Surrey. I never get tired of telling people, because it's really, really difficult to find in Kingston in Surrey where they were made in that huge aircraft factory.
There's a sculpture there, isn't there?
There is a plaque or a sculpture. So that's question 2. Question 3, apparently the F-35 cannot bow. Whether it cannot or it just doesn't need to, or it actually isn't programmed into the flight control system, which is... So the Harrier doing its famous bow, including at that Wings TV clip, apparently the F-35 cannot bow, or doesn't not bow, or chooses not to bow. The Harrier engine is the Rolls-Royce Pegasus. And last but not least, David Morgan was the decorated pilot who was believed to be the last RAF pilot to shoot down an aircraft in combat, at least in the unclassified domain. You got one right. Oh, well done, Avianca 757. Can they vector and forward flight? So I read quite an interesting article trying to find the absolute answer that the Harrier was needed to land vertically because the undercarriage on the wings wasn't really suitable for landing with any forward speed. So that's why it needed to have the hover capability, where the F-35 is generally designed. It can obviously hover, but also is designed to land with forward speed. So anyway, that's round 2. Round 3. So this is the UAE display team Al Furzan. I think I'm correct in saying that those are at least the majority of the colours of the UAE flag. So he's done this in a dogfight. I think that should, for inventiveness, Josh, I think you should get a bonus point for that. I think I'd prefer that answer to the other one, actually. So that's round 3, question 1. Round 3, question 2 is the U2. Possibly at RAF Fairford, but I don't know if that's RAF Fairford. James can probably confirm for those who wanted a bonus point.
Was that one surprise? Or was that one on stand?
I don't
Two
know.
on you, wasn't it? James can tell me that.
Round 3, question 3. Python is the Red Arrows manoeuvre named after a large snake. I'm not sure there are any other snake manoeuvres. Cobra, that's not a Red Arrows manoeuvre. I think that's a MiG manoeuvre. But... Round 3, question 4. In Sheerlik, or however you pronounce it, that has popped leather. Is that the right link? Fairford again. Thank you, James.
Same year.
I think that's just maybe routinely landing there, don't they? Round 3, question 5. RAF High Wycombe. It moved from Uxbridge in 1940, mostly because Uxbridge was deemed as being too in the open, so RAF High Wycombe buried in the woods. They actually deliberately camouflaged buildings, and it remained not only World War II, but I think also into the Cold War, and to this day is quite a significant centre of classified operational activity. Round 3, question 6. Leonardo da Vinci, the name of the Rome airport, or ARTA, as opposed to after. Leonardo da Vinci.
After.
Round 3, question 7. Boeing C-17. James, we don't know where this is. I don't know where this is. I can see a control tower in the background, but I'm not clever enough to know where that is.
Paris?
Don't know. It's a
Dubai
C-17.
I thought because it was where we went to uni. Oh, Wycombe.
Yeah.
Could have been. Well, I actually never went there.
It's in the hills west of.
It's like on the massive hill, isn't it?
It's more like Knapp Hill. It's more in the about 15 minutes out of High Wycombe, heading in the sort of westerly direction.
I thought it was on that massive hill.
No, that's another one.
Ah.
That's Dawes Hill.
Ah.
Paris Le Bourget. Abby, you said that.
Yay! See, I told you. That's just very sad to know that.
Round 3, question 8. The F-16. I believe the F-21, the US version, is based on the F-16. It was an export version, I think, has been established for export market, maybe for the Indians and others, but it's an F-16 updated and upgraded for export. Round 3, question 9. The MiG-31 is the fictional Mach 6 thought-controlled weapons Firefox, the MiG-31 Firefox that Clint Eastwood flew in the film, based on the novel. Every year goes past, perhaps it becomes less and less fictional. Not quite the Mach 6 bit yet, but Mark, you were based at High Wycombe or Paris or... Round 3, question 10 is the YS-11. So it was one of those aircraft that I actually used to see occasionally coming into the UK. I think there was a civil version of it.
Did you get to visit on your course, Connor? I never remember if you could or not.
Round 3, question 11. John Denver left on a jet plane. I'm leaving on a jet plane. That's the closest you'll get to me singing it. Round 3, question 12. The Cessna Citation 510 Mustang for the full designation, but any combination of that will be enough for the point. Oh, okay, thank you. I think the designation is for the export version, but that's what I read anyway.
You played football there. Well, closer than I've been.
Did you beat them? That's the question, though. Round 3, question 13. Marco Polo. So
yeah, so
the delayed airport.
Pool game.
Oh, Polo, the pool game. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Marco Polo airport. Very slow airport.
Round 3, question 14. Titan Airways. Of course, heavily involved, I think, in cargo flying at the moment, like a lot of airlines. Not sure if that's at Stansted or where that is, but that wasn't in the question. Round 3, question 15. The Cessna 172 apparently, according to most of the sources I could verify, has sold more than any other aircraft type and is still in production. You can still buy them. As I think you can also buy the Piper Cherokee in its updated version, or Piper Arrow or whatever it is now. Question 16. The Bell X1. We did think about putting a photograph in here, but we weren't sure about the copyright in the photograph. But the Bell X1 1947, the sound barrier is broken in the what looks a bit more like a rocket than an aeroplane, but it was the first manned aircraft to break the sound barrier. Somebody was going to post, I can't remember the actual date, but if you know the actual date, award yourself a bonus point. I'm not sure I can verify it, but hey, we're friends, so we'll trust you. Round 3, question 17, the Lockheed Constellation. Bit of useless information, apparently, that every single fuselage frame is different, so it wasn't a very efficient aircraft to make because it was such a curved aircraft that actually you couldn't manufacture any fuselage frame. Everyone had to be different for every aircraft as you went along the fuselage, so it wasn't very efficient to be made. But it was a quite beautiful aircraft, and still I think beautiful aircraft now. I'm not sure if the Breitling one is still flying around, but it was designed at Howard Hughes' request. Oh, that's good, Jed. Yes, bonus point for that. Oh, going backwards. So this is a Gulfstream G650. They all look a little bit similar, but this is the 650. I think it's still just about the longest range one that's in service. I think the next version is going through flight testing at the moment to replace this. Ah, good question, Matthew Senior. We might need a post-investigation into that one. Round 3, question 19. So 25 feet or 7.62 meters is the amount. Certainly during testing, it's where they put the wing to and it didn't break, but it's around 150% of its load. So next time you either sit in a 787 or C1, try and imagine 25 feet. Look at the videos on YouTube. There's some impressive videos about how much you need to... It is a G550 on a weight gain diet, exactly. And then last question, round 3, question 20, Jet Airways. So that should be out of 21 as well, so total tonight should be out of 47. So feel free to post your scores. We thought we'd spare you the final fly past tonight so we can just see scores on here and then have a quick discussion about whether you would like to continue with this quiz. We're happy to, as we said right at the start, happy to continue with this as long as you'd like it to continue. We know we get over 100 or more visitors, viewers after the quiz is posted, so we know that we're still quite keen. We don't mind pumping out the questions if you don't mind tuning in to listen. And I know the weather's going to be good again next week, so we don't know what effect that will have. But feel free to post your scores when you know them. 15. So Peter, was that too much military? Oh, it's all fun, Josh. 18, Peter, headboard cockpit Witts. Wish we had a photograph of the headboard cockpit that we could post against this. 31, impressive 31 mark. 16, Andy. 16, Matthew Senior. Lorraine Chase International, exactly. 29, Dave. Avianca 757, 24, very good. Jed, 15. 15, total 30.
15 in that round.
Oh, 15, oh, okay. Total 30, that's decent. 20, very good.
I think you're winning so far.
Thank you very much for the feedback. 32.
Airport maps.
Thanks, Kane. Don't need to score. You know, just the taking part that counts. 30.
What do you mean questions on airport maps?
Oh, questions on airport
Do
maps.
you mean like
Oh, we'll chat about that offline, James. Thank you for that. I had some thoughts on that. Still keen. Thank you very much. Iconic 111. Good thought.
16's good.
Everything's good. Don't worry. No faces, sad faces. It's the taking part that counts. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. So based on that feedback, more than happy that we'll continue until you say, please stop, or until every single score is 0, in which case we might have made it too difficult to run out of questions in that case. So next quiz then is Tuesday the 16th. Can it possibly be nearly the summer equinox? So 16th June, and we'll, if you want to post on here ideas for the iconic round, it will be a civil aircraft next time. Ideally, we need to have some video footage of it, so that might limit things, just to remind you at the start, to give you a bit of a taster. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for the feedback. We enjoy it. It's fun, so as long as you enjoy it, that's the main thing. And so we're not expecting everyone to tune in live, because we know people are busy and getting back into doing things, so we're more than happy to, if you can look at it any time, even if you don't tune in on the night. So thanks for that. Thank you, Peter. Hopefully Spain's okay, getting back to normal.
Better weather.
BC10, okay, yes, thank you. Yeah. Well, post some thoughts. Say we'll keep thinking about the iconic aircraft. We'll be back next week. Glad to see Abby's recovered. I think she's recovered, much as Abby ever recovers.
Rude.
No, she's fine.
I'm just grounded. It's not fun.
We could do a round on Tremor, maybe, at some stage.
No, we could do a space round.
I bet everyone's already forgotten Tremor's birthday. But anyway, so we'll sign off for tonight and leave you with the music, and we will look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. Keep safe for the week, and hopefully we'll all be back to aviating in some form soon.
See, Dave, we've done the Concorde.
Dave, you missed it. We did. Thank you to
Only about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. We did a Concorde iconic aircraft. That was in fact one of the first. Right. Well, we'll sign off. We'll leave the comments live for a while. Leave this droning music on for a while as well. But thank you to YouTube for supplying it. And we will see you next week. Thanks very much.